Robin Williams really didn't like her as much as people thought. Robin Williams was born Robin Claren Williams on July 21, 1951 in Chicago, Illinois. His family had both money and lots of creativity. His father, Robert Fitzgerald Williams, had a big job at Ford Motor Company, while his mother, Lori McLaurin, used to be Amabel with a great sense of humor that really changed her son. Growing up in fancy neighborhoods of Detroit and later in Marin County, California, Robin had a pretty easy childhood, but under that easiness was a boy who felt lonely and left out. To deal with it, he found comfort in making people laugh. He had fun by copying voices, making up characters, and creating whole new worlds. This special skill of turning sadness into jokes would later become the main part of his job and what people remember him for. Williams went to Claremont Men's College before moving to the College of Marin, where he found out he loved acting. He then got a full scholarship to the famous Juilliard School in New York City, where he learned from the well-known John Houseman. There he became close friends with another student, Christopher Reeve, a friendship that would last his whole life. Even though Williams was one of only 2 students in his class, the other being Reeve, picked for Juilliard's special program, he ended up leaving in 1976 to do stand-up comedy full-time. He figured out that his real talent was not just in acting, but in the quick, exciting world of making things up on the spot performance. His comedy style, super fast, surprising, and filled with both smartness and craziness, made him different from anyone else on stage. Robin Williams became super famous in the late 1970s when he got cast as Mork, an alien from the planet Ork in the TV show Mork and Mindy, 1978 to 1982. What started as a one-time guest appearance in Happy Days became a huge hit. His wild energy, super quick jokes, and lovable weirdness won over audiences all across America. Viewers had never seen anyone quite like him. He was both really funny and deeply human. The show made Williams and everyone knew and got him his first Emmy nomination. Behind the laughter, though, Robin was dealing with the harder parts of fame, including pressure of always being creative and early problems with drugs and alcohol, a fight he would keep facing throughout his life. As his career grew, Robin Williams showed that he was way more than a comedian. He became one of Hollywood's most talented and respected actors. His first big dramatic performance came with Good Morning Vietnam, 1987, where he played their Yule-breaking radio DJ Adrian Cronauer. Their role showed his ability to mix comedy and feelings perfectly, getting him an Academy Award nomination. This was followed by other amazing performance in Dead Poets Society 1989, where he inspired audiences as the excited English teacher John Keating. Awakenings 1990, in which he played a caring brain doctor, and The Fishhooking 1991, where he balanced craziness and sadness with deep humanity. His acting as Love Genie in Disney's Aladdin 1992 brought his talent to a new generation and is still one of the most famous voice performances in movie history. Williams also brought happiness through family-friendly movies like Mrs. Doubtfire 1993, Jumanji 1995, and Hook 1991, where his endless energy and feelings turned fantasy into something real. Yet he could also make audiences really sad with his dramatic work. His performance in Good Will Hunting 1997 as Sean McGuire, a wise and caring therapist, got him an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. In that role, he said one of movie's most touching lines, "You're no perfect, sport, and let me save youth suspense. This girl you met isn't perfect either, but the question is whether or not you're perfect for each other." That quiet, honest wisdom became a symbol of the man himself. Not perfect, but always caring. Robin Williams' life was as colorful, complicated, and deeply human as the man himself. A show of his huge heart, deep feelings, and constant search for love, connection, and friendship over the course of his life. The beloved comedian and Oscar-winning actor was married 3 times, each marriage marking a different chapter in his personal journey filled with happiness, problems, creative energy, and in the endless songs and the sad and sweet nature of human relationships. His first marriage was to Valeria Velady, whom he married in 1978 at the very start of his fame. This was the same time when Robin's comedy skills were taking off with his breakout role as the lovable alien Mork on Mork and Mindy. Valerie, a talented dancer and artist, met Robin during his early years as a struggling comedian in San Francisco. Their relationship grew out of real love and shared artistic spirit long before fame came around. She supported him through the craziness of his early career. Staying by his ideas, his name began to spread across Hollywood. However, as Robin's fame exploded and the pressures of fame got worse, their marriage began to have problems under the weight of his busy schedule, touring demands, and the temptations that came with celebrity life. Despite their best efforts, their paths slowly went different ways. The couple had a son, Zachary "Zach" Williams, in 1983, and Robin loved him deeply. He would later call being a father one of the greatest gifts of his life. Yet by 1988, after 10 years of marriage, Robin and Valerie divorced. Though their marriage ended, they stayed friendly, connected by their shared love for Zach and their mutual respect for the years they had spent building a family together. Just a year later, in 1989, Robin found love again with Marcia Garces, a woman who had already played an important role in his life. Marcia had been Zachary's nanny and later became Robin's personal assistant, and over time, a deep friendship turned into romance. Their relationship surprised some given its unusual beginning, but for Robin, it was a partnership based in understanding, compassion, and creative working together. The two shared not only a marriage, but also a working relationship. Marcia became a film producer and worked with Robin on several of his projects, including Patch Adams and Mrs. Doubtfire. Together they had 2 children, Zelda Ray Williams, born in 1989 and named after the beloved video game character, and Cody Allen Williams, born in 1989 1991. Robin often talked about his huge love for his children, getting inspiration and humor from being a father itself, which became a repeated theme in both his comedy and his personal thoughts. However, fame once again created a long shadow over his happiness. The demons of his career, combined with his ongoing struggles with addiction and depression, put huge strain on the marriage. After more than 20 years together, filled with both success and trouble, Robin and Marcia separated in 2008 and finished their divorce in 2010. The end of their marriage was a hard time for Robin, who publicly said he felt bad for the ways in which his personal problems had affected those he loved most. Still, he and Marcia kept a level of mutual respect, putting the well-being of their children above all else. In 2011, Robin took a final chance on love when married Susan Schneider, a graphic designer and artist. The two met at an Apple store in Marin County, California, a surprisingly normal setting for a man of Robin's fame. Susan later remembered that she was right away drawn to his warmth and gentle humor, not his celebrity status. Their relationship grew into a deep and loving partnership, giving Robin comfort and friendship during the later years of his life. Susan became a big source of support as Robin faced growing health problems, including heart surgery in 2009 and later the terrible brain symptoms of what was later found to be Lewy body dementia, a complicated and not well understood brain disorder. Despite his illness, Robin and Susan shared moments of laughter, tenderness, and quiet home happiness at their home in Tiburon, California. They stayed married until Robin's tragic death in August 2014, a loss that shook the world and left Susan to become a person who spreads awareness of the disease that took his life. For decades, Robin Williams and Sally Field were two of Hollywood's most beloved and respected actors, both able to make audience sell one moment and cry the next. They shared the screen in the 1993 blockbuster Mrs. Doubtfire, a film that became a family classic and showed their incredible chemistry as a divorced couple trying to figure out life after separation. To the outside world, it looked like the two stars got along perfectly. Their jokes were sharp, their timing perfect, and their connection seemed real both on and off screen. However, behind the scenes, things were reportedly not as nice as fans might have believed. There were moments of tension, creative fights, and personality differences that made their working relationship way more complicated than their warm smile suggested. According to people close to the production, Robin Williams could be hard to predict on set. His talent for making things up often led him to go off script, adding lines and silly actions that sometimes left his co-stars struggling to keep up. Sally Field, on the other hand, was known for her hard work and discipline. She valued being exact, structure, and preparation. This difference in styles created problems, while Robin loved chaos. Sally preferred control. Sally didn't find me funny all the time, Robin once joked, half smiling, but with a bit of truth beneath his humor. She had that look, that mom looked like she wanted to ground me. The two had totally different approaches to their craft, and although they respected each other as actors, they sometimes fought in personality. Robin's making things up often resulted in tons of retakes, frustrating both the crew and his co-stars. Sally, coming from a background of drama and method acting, sometimes found his comedy spontaneity tiring. "I think she thought I was just a big kid running around with too much sugar," Robin once said with a self-critical laugh. "She'd give method stare, the kind that could stop your heart. And I knew I'd better stick to the script." Behind the laughter, though, there was real strain. Field, known for her intense emotional depth, sometimes saw Robin's constant joking as a way to protect himself, a way of hiding his insecurities and pain. Meanwhile, Robin reportedly found Sally's seriousness scary. He admired her talent, but her perfectionism sometimes made him feel judged or held back, even after the cameras stopped rolling. Robin sometimes hinted at their off-screen tension in interviews, though always through humor. He once said, "Working with Sally was like being in therapy with a referee. You want to laugh, but you also don't want to get yelled at." Those who knew Robin understood that humor was his protection. If didn't like someone or felt uncomfortable, he'd cover it with a joke. In truth, the relationship between Robin Williams and Sally Field was a mix of admiration and frustration. Two strong, brilliant performers who simply worked on very different emotional levels. Still, hate might have been too strong a word for Robin. What he likely felt was a mix of respect and annoyance, an emotional push and pull that came from their difference in energy and personality. Sally Field, for her part, later spoke warmly of Robin after his death in 2014, saying, "He was more than the genius we saw on screen. He was the most delicate, vulnerable soul." Those words showed that, despite their differences, she recognized the pain behind his humor, the deep humanity that made him unique. Yet for Robin, those years working alongside her remained challenging. "Sally could cut through you with one look," he once admitted privately. "Shaddened by the clown act, that's what made her great, but also had made her hard to be around." To someone like Williams, whose entire being was built around making people awe and feel joy, being around someone who saw straight through the act could be uncomfortable. She forced him to face parts of himself he often tried to bury beneath his comedy. In the end, Robin Williams and Sally Field represented two sides of Hollywood's golden heart, the wild spark off making things up and the disciplined fire off craft. They may not have been close friends off screen, and their relationship may have been full of moments of misunderstanding, but together they created one of the most touching and lasting on-screen partnerships of the 1990s. Behind the laughter, the tension between them may have fueled the realness that made Mrs. Doubtfire unforgettable, and while Robin might have joked that Hetcherly hated her more than anyone, those who knew him best understood that his words, like his comedy, always carried layers, a blend of humor, truth, and affection wrapped inside the soul of a man who felt everything deeply, tragically behind his laughter. Williams struggled with depression, anxiety, and later the effects of undiagnosed Lewy body dementia, a progressive brain disease that affects thinking, memory, and mood. On August 11, 2014, the world was shocked by the news of his death at age 63. It was a loss that felt deeply personal to millions of fans who had grown up with his movies, his stand-up, and his heartfelt interviews. Tributes poured in from around the globe. Fellow comedians, actors, and everyday people all shared how Robin Williams had made them feel less alone. Even NASA honored him by tweeting, "We will miss you, Robin Williams. We watched your movies. Now you're in our galaxy."